All right, all right, all right. Welcome, all explorers. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's virtual field trip. If this is your first time on the Geo Show, just a quick, brief introduction to you that this is an interactive virtual field trip. So what that means is you can interact with our show a couple of ways. And before we get started, I'll tell you those several ways you can interact live with our show today. We do not have any on-camera guests with us this afternoon, but that is okay because it's interactive for everyone. We use Kahoot and Twitter during our program, so use the hashtag GeoShow to send in any text questions. Alternatively, you can use the chat or Q&A option in the top of your Zoom window that you're watching me in right now. Also, we use Kahoot during this program. That's the screen that I just had up for everyone. So if you've never used it before, just go to kahoot.it on any URL and enter in, or any web browser, and enter in today's game pin, which is 352632. And if you win today's Geo quiz at the end of the show, you will get a postcard from me, GeoB, from the Learn Around the World Studios. And we are using Flipgrid this year, so make sure you check out flipgrid.com/GeoShow. Post any of your fun facts you have learned about Bali or monkeys at the Sacred Monkey Forest later on this week. Or if you stump me with any awesome questions, which happens often, I will research those answers if I do not know them, and I will post them on Flipgrid later on in the day or tomorrow. With all that said, it is time to get started. And GeoShow is now live. Let's do it, explorers. All right, all right, all right. Welcome, all explorers. You're now watching the Geo Show, and the title of today's show is The Sacred Monkey Forest, located in Bali. All right, and this is brought to you by Learn Around the World. Now we're going to go ahead and test out our technology today and make sure everyone is logged into Kahoot and see if we can get our game going. So again, you can go to kahoot.it on any URL, enter in that game pin at the top of your screen, 352632. You'll be connected right to our in-show survey questions and quiz questions. And we're going to go ahead and practice using that right now because I have a survey question for all of you explorers. Now, just a reminder, if this is your first time on the Geo Show, you only have 10 seconds to answer the question, and you will only see the question and answers up here where you see my beautiful face right now. And so that means when you answer on your devices, explorers, you will only see a red, blue, green, or yellow button. So make sure you look up here to get the questions and answers. Okay, here we go. So don't worry if you're not logged in quite yet. You will have the opportunity to do so before we start awarding points for our questions. But again, that game pin's right in the middle of your screen, 352632. Now today we are headed to the Sacred Monkey Forest in Bali. So my first question for everyone today is, what country is Bali in? Bali is an island. What country is Bali in? Is it red, India, blue, the Philippines, yellow, Australia, or green, Indonesia? All right, Bali is located in Indonesia. So on the Geo Show, which is a geography-based show, we like to say that location matters. So where are we headed today, explorers? Well, the location that we're headed to when we spin our big blue ball around is the country of Indonesia. So if you don't know where Indonesia is, we're going to zoom in just a little bit, but I'm not going to go in much further right this second because Indonesia is actually many, 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 many islands. In fact, it is so many islands, it's over 17,000 islands. That's right, 17,000 islands. You've heard that correctly, explorers. 17,000 islands make up the country of Indonesia. Now, these islands are in between Australia down here to the southeast and Southeast Asia to the north and northeast, and there's China up there. So that gives you an idea of where we're going today, but we're not going to all of these 17,000 islands, over 17,000. We're only going to one. We're going to Bali today. So let's find out where Bali is. Bali is located right beside the main island of Indonesia. So the main island is this blue one. It's called Java, the island of Java. This was the majority of the people live here. In fact, did you know that Indonesia is the fourth largest country in the world as far as people? It's right behind the USA. So it's China, India, the USA, and then Indonesia. So a lot of people live here. Around 260 million people live here. But we are going to head to this island right to the right of Java. It's called Bali. So I highlighted it in orange for you. Bali is a rather small place. So unlike the 260 million, only around 4 million people live in Bali. It's only about 95 miles wide and 69 miles from north to south. So right off the tip of the bottom up to the top there. So it is kind of a small country. What kind of weather do they have here? Well, it's near the equator, it's just south of the equator. And so it's very hot all year round. So it's generally somewhere around 68 to 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Or if you guys are out of the US today, it's about 20 to 33 degrees Celsius. There are 2 seasons. So unlike a 4-season environment, it's only 2 seasons. There's a wet and a dry season, and the wet season is from October to April. Okay, so this is Bali. This is where we're going to head today to talk about the sacred monkey forest. Alrighty, so before we get started, we do have a few topics to talk about today. So one is the monkey forest and the monkeys that reside there, offerings that are brought to the temples in the sacred monkey forest, and Balinese Hindu. So the prominent or the primary religion located, found in Bali. So before we get further into our show today, we always like to give some shout outs right here on the Geo Show. And today is no different. So I've randomly selected and drew names out of a hat. So we have too many people to get everyone. But I do want to give our first random shout out today to Rochester City Schools in New York. So shout out to all of you guys in Rochester Schools. And let's go north of the border and give a big old shout out to Parkland Schools in Alberta, Canada. So big shout out to all of you guys up there. Stick with me and maybe we'll get some more shout outs as the show goes along. So we're going to go ahead and start today's virtual field trip with talking about the religion found in Bali. And the reason we're going to talk about the religion is because it has to do with the sacred monkey forest. And the religion found today in Bali is called Balinese Hindu. Balinese Hindu. So what does that all mean? Well, a couple of vocabulary words, just so you have an idea of what I'm talking about here. It's okay. You don't have to remember these. So our first one today is animism. Can everyone say animism? Okay, that is the belief that everything has a soul. So this is the old religion in Bali. So that means you would believe that a tree has a soul to it, a rock has a soul to it, the monkey has a soul to it. Everything has a soul. Hinduism is a major religion that was born in India, and it's made its way to Indonesia. Buddhism is another major religion that was born in India and has made its way to Indonesia. And then the one that we're going to focus on today is Balinese Hinduism. So Balinese Hinduism is a mix of all these. It's a mix of the old Balinese beliefs of animism and Hindu and Buddhist beliefs. So it's a mixture of all of these. And so when we focus on those islands of Java and Bali, the ones that we just introduced you to, well, as I just said, here's India. If you don't know where India is, so the religions of Hindu and Buddhism have come over to Indonesia. And as we go back in, today it's a little bit different. So Balinese Hinduism. Here's another fun fact for everyone. Did you know that Indonesia is also the largest Islamic country today? So they have the most Muslim people than any other country in the world. A lot of people were surprised to learn that because it's not, most people think it would be in the Middle East, but it's not. It's actually Indonesia. And but that's not the same for Bali. Bali is Balinese Hinduism. So how did all these religions get here? Well, as I just told you, Buddhism and Hinduism came over from India to Java, the main area of Java. And in East Java, there was a big migration of there was a big Hindu culture that migrated in, it was about the 1500s or so, that they migrated over to Bali. So all these religions have really mixed together to create something very unique. So the form of Hinduism, Balinese Hinduism in Bali is very different than what's found in India. And all of these influences have made up Balinese Hinduism. Now, we had an opportunity to interview a local Brahmin. So a Brahmin is a kind of like if a religious family. They're like, if you would think, not quite like a preacher, but a very respected family in the community. And this guy's name is Mr. Oka, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the religion found here in Bali.
Yeah, my name is Ida Bagusoka Ganijaya. That's my full name. People call me Gosoka or Oka. I'm from Mas. It's a wood carving village, the first wood carving village in Bali. What we believe in Bali, their first god is their parents. It's about ancestor. You wouldn't be here without your father. Your father wouldn't be here without your grandfather. Your grandfather wouldn't be here without your great-grandfather.
Now, earlier you said a word that I'm sure some people may not know, animism?
Animism.
Animism.
Yeah.
Can you...
Yeah, it's about believing, everything what you see have a soul as a spirit. Even the stone, the tree, there's a spirit in there.
And this was the traditional Balinese
in the old days.
faith.
Yeah, in the old days, yeah.
And so now it's very much the base of...
A mixed collaboration with Buddhist. Hindu and Buddhist, not just Hindu, Buddhism, and any other religion.
So it's like this own thing.
Yeah, because, for example, animism is about everything have a living thing. Tree, stone, everything is respect of that. But why Hinduism blend very well and Buddhism blend very well in Bali? Because it's so close to that root.
Yeah, everything is a one.
Yeah, in one,
Buddhism's very much.
Very much.
And I don't want to call it Hinduism now because it's so many different
during
things.
Dutch colony, before this, we call it Agama Tirta. The religion in Bali is about water, holy water. That's where the first temple in Bali, call it Pura Tirta. Tirta means holy water. That's what our first religion is. It's about founding the water. Because this water is life. It's about water, this religion. But until the independent, after the Dutch, colony things and the government, we have to choose 5 other religions. All
right. So here's just a brief intro into the religion of Balinese Hinduism. So we're going to learn at the Sacred Monkey Forest is that 2 gods, Brahma and Vishnu, and Shiva, 3 gods. These make up the holy trinity of the Hindu gods. These are the 3 main gods. Really, a lot of people get confused. There are many, many gods in Hinduism, but they're all basically one god. It's just different forms of the one. And so these are the 3, but 2 of the temples found in Sacred Monkey Forest are for Brahma, which is the creator god, and the other one is for Shiva, which is the destroyer god. The 3rd god is Vishnu, but there is no temple for Vishnu in the Sacred Monkey Forest. And again, this is Mr. Oka, and he was very kind to tell us a little bit about Balinese religion. Okay, so we're going to jump in because I know everyone's itching to see the monkeys, and we're going to get right to it and see those monkeys. But I do want to remind everyone, send in your, we don't have any on-camera guests today, and that's A-OK. That means you just need to send in text questions to me. So get them sent in early and often because we do want to make this experience interactive for your classroom. We do have 2 more random shout outs today going to Meadowbrook Elementary in Minnesota. So shout out to everyone in Minnesota, and also Woodville Elementary in California. Big shout out to everyone out on the West Coast. All right, so let's get right to it. Let's visit the Sacred Monkey Forest in Ubud in Bali. Okay, so we do have another survey question for you. So go ahead and grab your Kahoot devices if you're playing along using Kahoot today. And we have a fun question for you today, and that is about monkeys. So my question to everyone is, are apes like gorillas, chimpanzees, and orangutans, are they monkeys? Are chimpanzees and gorillas monkeys? Red, no. Blue, yes. All right, great. So we have a lot of explorers that are very familiar, apparently, with the difference between apes and monkeys. So I like to throw that one out there. Some people get confused from time to time, but yes, they are not monkeys. Today, we're talking about monkeys, and we're talking about a specific type of monkey. So let's go ahead and meet that monkey at the Sacred Monkey Forest, found all throughout Bali, but we're going to one in Ubud, Bali.
Hello explorers, right now we're at the Monkey Sanctuary in Ubud, Bali. It's a small forest located right on the edge of town, and there's an active Hindu temple here. From my understanding, the monkeys play a large role in folklore in Bali, and they've been protected, and this is a sanctuary for them, and you will often see a lot of the priests and just normal people come in to pray at the temple, that they're walking in and out. It's a huge popular destination for tourists. Over 10,000 tourists come here a month, and because of that, they feed them a lot, and you can just buy a big thing of bananas. And because of that, the monkeys have become pretty aggressive, so they'll reach in your pockets, and if you have a banana and you're not giving it to them, they'll jump on you and start feeling around. And if you start running, they're gonna act like aggressive, just like a dog would. So the more you run, the more they're gonna chase you. So you have to kind of hold your ground here. And even if you don't have any food, they'll still seek it out. Kelsey didn't even have any food on her, and she had 2 baby monkeys jump on top of her, and we're kind of searching around on her back.
All right, so one thing that we talk about is when you visit the Sacred Monkey Forest in Bali, there's a couple guidelines so the local community oversees the monkey forest, and they have a couple guidelines for people visiting the monkey forest. And one is that you're not supposed to give them any kind of human food. So if you should not bring any potato chips, any cookies, candy bars, anything like that into the park, because one, it's not good for the monkeys. It's not good for their diets, and two, then they'll be searching through you. They'll be going through your pockets and everything. So they try to tell you to only feed them bananas that you can buy within the park, which we saw a booth earlier that they were feeding. Also, a couple other guidelines is they tell you not to bring any plastic or paper bags. And the reason is we see this little guy right here grabbing onto Kelsey B's purse right here. And luckily she had zippers and heavy leather bags, but if this were a plastic or a paper bag, it would have ripped open, and then the monkeys would just grab your things and run. So they're very notorious here. The monkeys they'll take your sunglasses off your head and run away with them. They'll take your, if you have a phone, they'll take your phone. So you really have to be careful. Anything that you want to keep on you, you need to keep it securely in your hands, or even loose things in your pocket. So they'll come up and just stick their hands in your pocket. Remember, they have opposable thumbs just like we do, so they can grab things. A couple other guidelines that they have is, again, don't pull away from the monkeys. So we saw a couple of the monkeys. So if you feed the monkeys, so if you feed the monkeys here, you can see some of them getting upset. But if you feed them, you should not try to only give them half the banana. So if you give them a full banana and they grab half of it and you try to pull the other half away, they will get angry. They'll scratch you, they'll bite you. Another thing is to don't play with the monkeys. So they can crawl on you. You can let them own you. There are staff members that I'll point them out as we walk around the forest. But there are staff members there to help you. So if for some reason you get scared or you don't like the monkeys on you, then you can, if you just start walking, they'll jump off of you. But if you just stay there and you're holding bananas, they're going to jump all on you and try to get to those delicious fruits. they also have water bottles. So I saw a number of people get their water bottles stolen from them. And they have opposable thumbs, just like you and I do. They are primates, and they can open those tops very easily to get to the water. And the other thing we'll point out a couple is we'll go back to one of these temples where there's 3 temples located in the monkey forest. So there's one, this is the main temple. This is for Shiva. There's another, which is the cemetery or the cremation temple, sorry. That one is for Brahma. And then there's a water. Remember earlier, Mr. Oka was talking how important water is in the traditional religions of Bali. And that one is for the goddess Ganga. All right, so there are 3 temples, and the last guideline, as I said, is you're not allowed as a tourist, you cannot go into the temple. So in order to go into the temple, they don't exclude people that want to come here for religious purposes. So if you're willing to put on the traditional Balinese dress for praying, and you are going to pray to the gods when you are there inside the temple, then you could go in there. But for most people, if you're not praying to the gods, if you're not wearing the traditional Balinese dress, then you're not allowed into the sacred areas. But you're allowed in the forest where all the monkeys are. All right, so again, when we'll get back here and show when they jump on you, the best thing to do is just to stand up and start walking, and they will eventually get off of you. We also have, you can see here, mom holding on to little baby here. So infants or young monkeys do stay with their mothers for a time, and they can just grab right onto the belly and run around. So it's a quick intro into the sacred monkey forest, just to give you an idea of how big the forest is. So it's around 3 or almost 31 acres. So what does that mean? Well, it's about 23 soccer fields or so. And so how many monkeys are here, which is a question we often get. And so there are around 600 or so monkeys today. And when I talk to locals here in Ubud, they were talking about how tourism, so that's people like us explorers and me going to see these monkeys, how over the last couple decades that the population of monkeys have really exploded, and that is because they get fed. So they feed them at the monkey forest. So lots of monkeys, lots of food available for them, 600 of them. They're divided into groups. So, and then sometimes the groups, so there's 6 different groups today. And sometimes the groups will fight each other over territory or over food as well. And then they can wreak havoc, which I'll show you an example here in a minute, to the people in the surrounding area, to the forest. So they'll go into your home, they'll go into if you're a shop owner, they can go into your shop. And also gardens, they'll go into your gardens and raid your gardens. And so there's a huge dynamic relationship between humans and monkeys in Bali, because there's so many monkeys. And it's, how do we manage these monkeys? And that's one of the reasons why they feed them, is because the more food you give them in the monkey forest, it keeps them from going into your homes and gardens and so forth. All right, so let's go learn more about these monkeys. So what kind of monkeys are these? And let's learn a little bit more about them. And to do that, first, let's speak with one of the employees that works here at the forest.
This monkey?
The species? Macaca, the Balinese long tail.
How many monkeys are in this sanctuary?
About 600 monkeys.
Like, what do you feed them?
Every day, sweet potato.
What's their favorite food?
The banana.
Bananas?
Yeah. But only one time he get banana.
Yeah.
All right, so as we see here, as he just told us, they give them a lot of sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes are #1 food that they get in their diet here in the Sacred Monkey Forest. The #2 is probably bananas, and that's because the people that come to feed the monkeys, they sell bananas to feed to the monkeys. Some other things that they eat here in the Sacred Monkey Forest, they also eat other seasonal fruits when it's in season. They will also eat leaves, and also papaya leaves is another favorite of them in this forest. Again, you're not supposed to give them any human snacks like potato chips, candy bars, anything like that. But they did highlight one food as a huge no-no, which is peanuts. And I haven't really discovered why peanuts are specifically so bad for them yet, but apparently peanuts are really, really bad for them. So they really frown upon feeding them peanuts. In the wild, so again, if you missed it earlier, so he gave the scientific name was the macaca monkey, but it's macaque. They're the long-tailed macaque monkeys, and they're found all over Southeast Asia and the islands in Indonesia and Philippines, and even in mainland Asia as well. And so they have a huge range, and these monkeys are really notorious because even though they can stay along the coast or in forests and in swamps, they can live almost anywhere in these habitats that are found in this part of the world, but they are really famous for living on the edges of forests. So there's really a lot of interaction with people. And although they're protected right here in Bali, because they are seen as having good, it's that old animism type belief. So they have a soul and they're a part of the island, where a lot of people in Southeast Asia really, they consider these monkeys pests because they'll come in, dig up your gardens, they'll raid your homes when you're not there looking for food. So a lot of people think of them as kind of like rats. They're just pests, but not here at the Sacred Monkey Forest.
So it looks like they're used to a lot of people. What do you mean? They're used to people, so they go into pockets.
Yeah, I think you have something inside of. I think you have the food inside. Mm-hmm. You want to check?
Yeah. And how old do they get?
25.
25?
All right, so as we just learned, they can get up to 25 years of age. How big do they get? Well, you can kind of get, this is a great shot here to talk about their name. So they're called the long-tailed macaque monkeys. And we can see here that their tails, they use their tails for balance in the trees, but they get anywhere between about 1.5 feet to a little over 2 feet long. The overall size of the monkey is it's going to be different between males and females. Males tend to be a little bit bigger, so they can get up to a little over 8 kilograms, the males, and the females about 5.7 kilograms. Now, a kilogram is 2.5 pounds, so it's a little under 20 pounds or so, or right around there. And they can get about 2 feet tall, the larger males. As you see, they have this brownish, grayish color to them, and we'll see some younger ones in here. So the young ones, when their babies are born, they are black in color, but by the time they turn a year old, they'll develop their adult coat. So they'll start losing that black hair around 2 to 3 months, and they'll get their larger coats. So what do they do during the day? As we just saw to here, this is funny because these monkeys, they groom one another. And so they go into earlier part of the day. They have a couple of feeding periods during the day when they're more active feeding, but they do nap throughout the day as well. Young ones will play with one another, and they also, as we see this one running away, here's a little young guy. So this one is already starting to lose the black coat. You can still see some of the black on top of its head. We'll see a one that's darker or a little bit younger here in a minute as well. Now, what's really cool about coming to the Sacred Monkey Forest is you are almost guaranteed, or I would say you are guaranteed to see monkeys, and they're diurnal animals. So that means if you haven't learned this word in class before, most people have heard of nocturnal animals. So what's a nocturnal animal? Right. It's one that is most active at nighttime. So think of bats, for an example, owls. Well, opposite of that is a diurnal animal. So these are animals that are most active during the daytime. You and I are diurnal animals. These macaque monkeys, long-tailed monkeys, are diurnal animals. So one thing about the monkey forest is management. Okay, so how do you manage 600 monkeys? So you have monkeys together, people, and there's a, that relationship does not always end well, as far as, they'll steal your stuff and run away. Well, if you see, this is one of the employees here, or the local people that help manage the forest, and kind of see if I can get a better shot there when he's pulling it back. Kind of right there. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but he has if you can tell, this is a slingshot that he has in his hand. So it's kind of funny, I thought, that they carry around slingshots. So if he's pulls back, so they just carry around a little pouch of little pebbles. And what they'll do is they'll you have an aggressive monkey, they'll get them to scurry away by usually shooting just beside it. But if they had to hit it, it doesn't, it's not something that's going to hurt or kill the monkey, but it gives them a little sting to go away if they need to do that. And so that's why if you walk around the forest, you'll see the people that manage the monkeys carrying those. Okay, Mrs. Davis's classroom wanted to know, they sent in a great question. So did people ever step on the tails? And I would have to say some people probably step on their tails from time to time. And where do they take the items when they take things? Well, they can take items to they usually will take it like up on a tree limb or kind of away and just look at you. They're kind of like teasing you in a way. So this is another one. This is low down into, so there's a lower area in the forest. And so there's a stream or river that runs through here. And this behind this tree, so this is kind of a pool area and a tree, and behind here is the holy water temple, one of the two I was telling you about. Remember, you said water in ancient Balinese culture, water is super important, still is today. Water is life to many cultures around the world, and to people, water is like, we need it, right? So it's very important. So which makes sense why the people of Bali would put water so high up in importance. And also in this area, this is unique to talk about because the macaque long-tailed monkeys generally hang around water. And so in the wild, so they don't have to worry about it today as much because there's no really huge predators. There used to be a tiger, a small tiger that lived on Bali. It was the smallest of the tiger subspecies, but it's no longer on Bali today. It went extinct on Bali. But in other places around Asia, there are tigers. There are other predators that hunt these monkeys. And one of the ways or techniques they use to get away is swimming, which we'll see some of that as we go through the forest here. Okay, Mrs. Wilbanks' classroom wants to know, can you keep the monkeys as pets? Well, I did not meet anyone that kept the monkeys as pets in Bali. In fact, it's kind of a which we're going to learn more and more about here. Is it's some people don't like these monkeys, and some people don't mind them, and so it's kind of a relationship that is they respect the monkey, and but they're kind of they're very much of a nuisance in some parts of Bali and other places around Asia as well. But I imagine people do keep monkeys as pets, other kinds of monkeys, and I imagine this monkey, but this is a large monkey, so I don't know what the exactly if people have long-tailed macaques as monkeys. I would think you would want a little bit smaller monkey. They are pretty large. As I was just talking about, they use water to get away, to escape predators. And this is always fun to watch them play in the water. All right. So we get a couple good shots of our long-tail macaques here. So earlier we were talking about babies. So usually they are, moms carry their babies. They're pregnant for about 6 months, and they generally only have one baby. They will have twins, but it's very rare that they have twins. When we look at facial hair, so this is kind of funny. So males will have a mustache, kind of a mustache, and females will have like a beard. So they both have facial hair. Obviously they have hair, but they have a lot. And so they have the males have a very distinct mustache and the females have a very distinct beard. So that's one way that you could tell the difference of the two, besides being how big they are. Or if you can see, because you can see the male and female parts, body parts on them. So that obviously is the number one way to tell the difference between the male and the female. All right, so here's another female. You can see her beard there. Again, you know, when they're in the trees, so a lot of people want to know, well, what do they do when they sleep at night? Because they're diurnal animals. Well, they sleep together, the whole group. They'll find the sleeping tree is what people call it, but it's where they roost at night. And so they'll climb up in the tree. They will around 6 or 6:30 in the evening generally, and they'll stay in the tree for the rest of the night. And they're very good climbers, and they can jump very large distances. So 5 meters, so that's over 16 feet they can jump. And again, we were talking about them being a nuisance. And so this is right across the street. So the monkey forest is this way. And what we're going to do, I had to catch this footage really quickly on a phone, so it's not as good of footage, but you'll get an idea of what happens when the monkeys decide, hey, let's leave the forest and go to where the people are. So right across the street, you can see them. They'll start running up onto rooftops, and these roofs are tin roofs. So you can kind of see here. So if you've ever have been in a house with a tin roof and you can hear it rain, anything that hits the roof, you could just hear it really loud. And so you can just hear the monkeys running around on top of these roofs. So they don't care. They expect cars to stop. So I observed shopkeepers running monkeys out of their shops with brooms, kind of shooing them away. As you can imagine, these are the same group of monkeys. So there are like, you know, 10s and 20s of monkeys just coming across the street and running on top of these roofs of the buildings right across the street. Here's one. You can kind of see how they move on the power lines. So very agile. Again, they use that tail for balance, and they do that on the power lines as well as through the trees. Here's two sliding down power lines and getting in all kinds of trouble in people's homes. All right, so it's just a brief look at the Sacred Monkey Forest. We do have some questions coming in, so let's go ahead and jump to some of those questions. Let's see, Mrs. Heeman's classroom, do these monkeys feed their babies milk? So yes, so they are mammals, and one of the characteristics of mammals is that they nurse their young. Mrs. Reese's classroom, if I'm saying that correctly, do the monkeys ever need a doctor if they get sick? So the only information that I have found, I did not ask this when I was there, unfortunately, but I can tell you what happens when they die. There is no specific cemetery, and there is a cemetery in the Sacred Monkey Forest, but that's for people. There's no specific cemetery for the monkeys, but what they do is they will bury them in the forest when they die in the monkeys. Mrs. Wilbanks' classroom wants to know, how much can they eat in one day? So I know they forage throughout the day. I don't know about the quantity of each. They just had large piles of sweet potatoes sitting out. Do people kill these monkeys, and are they protected? They're protected here in Bali, and especially around the temples. They're often protected at the temples. When you start getting outside the temples, then it gets a little dicey because like farmers do not like these monkeys. These monkeys wreak havoc on farms. They tear up their crops. So they are really a nuisance. And other places around Asia, people do not like these monkeys. And that's because they're not scared of people. They live on the edge of the forest. In fact, they like to live near people. They like to steal from people. That's one of their techniques that they have used to survive. Great questions coming in. Let's see. Do these monkeys have predators? Yes, but not in Bali any longer because the tiger that used to live on Bali is not in Bali any longer. But they do other places around Asia where you have predators like lions, or not lions, but tigers. Other large cats will hunt and go prey on these monkeys. Mrs. Perry's classroom wants to know, do they eat insects or only plants? So yes, I'm glad you asked that question. So I gave you what they eat in the Sacred Monkey Forest. So what they eat in the wild is going to include mostly fruits. Depends on where they're found. Their diet usually has somewhere in between 70 to higher percentages based on fruit. They will eat leaves, stems, roots. They'll eat insects. They'll eat bird eggs. They'll eat invertebrates. In fact, sometimes another common name for these monkeys are the crab-eating macaque monkey, and that's because they love to eat crabs when they live near the ocean. They've been observed eating shrimp, even eating octopus. So they do eat. They do have a very diverse diet, but fruits is the mainstay of their diet for sure. Great question coming in there. Let's see, where do the animals sleep? So you're right. So they sleep in the trees. So they'll start to head up into the trees. And here's the great fun fact about them is with having predators, what they'll often do is they'll pick out trees that are right next to rivers or other water. And remember, I showed you jumping and playing in the water, which is a very common activity for the young monkeys to do that helps them when they get older because it helps them get away from predators. So even if a predator came in a tree after them, they'll drop down in the water and they'll swim away. So they're fantastic swimmers, and it's one of the techniques that they use to get away from predators as well. So great questions coming from all around there. And just to touch on it really briefly, we won't go too much into it because we're going to jump right into our geo quiz here. But I do want to mention is what's very unique in Bali overall and at the Sacred Monkey Forest is it's very common to give offerings to the temples and offerings to basically everything, because remember that animism, that everything has a soul, so you give a offering. So it's very common that all around your home, all around the forest, you give offerings. So these are to the ants, these are to the monkeys, they're to everyone. And so you generally give what you want to get in return. So everyone has a different idea of what their offering should be, but usually it's pretty flowers or fruits or other food, a little bit of rice, all kinds of things you can give as offerings. And so what does some of that look like? Well, here's a mother and her child going into the sacred monkey forest. So they're carrying offerings they're bringing to the temples. And in fact, many times during ceremonies in the temples, it's kind of notorious when they have their offerings laid out that the monkeys will kind of hang around. And sometimes they don't even wait until the ceremony is over. They just kind of run up and start taking things. But here's a different, so there's two different entrances. There's an entrance for tourists and there's an entrance for locals that are coming here to pray and to give offerings. And this is the entrance. As a tourist, you're not allowed to go in this entrance. But if you're bringing offerings, you can drive in there. And as you see these people doing it. So this is a common site all around Bali, and they make these little baskets and they put offerings in here. So they typically have some type of food. We can even see here on the left some candy. Someone put in there a little bit of rice. And Mr. Oka is going to tell us a little bit about these offerings.
Every day we cook at home. We offer rice to everywhere, put every corner of the building. That's for them animal, for ant, bird, thing. So we are very territorial. Killing is not a good thing. But we ask for that space for us, for you build a home. And then that's where you put offering everywhere, and then ant come. Well, it's so fun as long as that when they come, you go home, you kill them or you spray them. But nobody teach you, oh, kill is good. But where you belong, that's who you are, that's our nature. So the thing is very simple, right? And then there's an offering on top of building. I think it's just gratitude and thank you. Every home, villages, community are so different offering. This is how you love to present it. So very simple way. If you give apple, you offer apple, you get apple back. Simple. And then you creativity. You build creativity, beautiful offering. That's what you get back.
Okay.
It's very simple.
So
yeah.
So it's up to you.
Yeah, it's up to you.
And you offer what you hope to receive in return.
Yeah.
So as a home, if we want to feed our children, then we offer food to get food back.
Yeah. And because what you give, that's what you get,
So when you give your offerings, it's more from the traditional Balinese, not from like Hinduism?
Yeah, very much from Bali, because it's nothing like this in India or anywhere else. Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed, okay, so whatever you decide to offer, food, flowers, whatever. So would flowers represent beauty?
Okay, no. Flower represents spirit, because spirit, it flowers like a butterfly. They spread beauty. But beauty, flower don't grow. It grow every day, but they die very quick. The spirit is like that. You can't hold them for a very long time. You can feel them and enjoy them for a while. Yeah, food is part of the thing. Either for animal, for you offer food, you eat. But flower is you offer to the spirit. Yeah, but emptiness is to the God, to unknown. So that's why we pray empty first, and then flower.
All right, so it's just a little bit into the offerings that we see not only around like homes and all through when you walk around Bali, you see offerings just sitting on the sidewalk, and that happens right inside of the sacred monkey forest as well. So people bring offerings, and that's what they're doing is you give what you hope to get back from the universe or from the world or from the earth, right? So if you want food for yourself, you give food. If you want have good spirits, flowers tended to be in a lot of them, usually burning incense. So it's a very unique cultural phenomenon or practice, and so it's very, very unique in Bali for sure. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into our Geo quiz. We're just over 45, so that means we want to go ahead and give everyone an opportunity to play and try to win that postcard from me from GOB, from the Learn Around the World Studios. So let's go ahead and jump right to it. If you're playing along today with our Kahoot game, don't forget that the Kahoot code is 352632. Again, 352632. Make sure you get signed in there. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. So good luck, explorers. All right, what country is Bali in? All right, is it red, Indonesia, blue, the Philippines, yellow, Australia, or green, India? All right, Indonesia. Great job. So Savage and Giggles jumps out in first and second place. What religion are most people in Bali? Are they red, Balinese Hindu, blue, Christian, yellow, Buddhist, or green? Are they Muslim? Right, they are Balinese Hindu. Great job, explorers. Wilbanks clan takes the lead. Great job. What monkey is found in the sacred monkey forest? Is it red, spider monkey, blue, long-tailed macaque monkey, yellow, howler monkey, or green, the baboon? All right, great job, explorers. Wilbanks clan still in the lead. Giggles takes second place. Next, should you feed the monkeys human snacks like candy bars, peanuts, potato chips? All right, no, you should not. All right, Wilbanks class still in the lead. Giggles, second place, followed by Savage. Next question. The monkeys at the sacred monkey forest are red, diurnal, blue, crepuscular, or yellow, nocturnal? Great job, explorers. They are diurnal. That means they're most active in the daytime. And today's winner is, dun, 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 the Wilbanks clan. So if you are Mrs. Wilbanks' classroom, congratulations to y'all. Don't forget that you need to send me your snail mail address, and I only take that in one place, and that is over at learnaroundtheworld.com/prize right at the bottom of your screen. Just go to our website /prize. Enter in your school address to that Google form, and I'll get that postcard sent right out to you. For everyone else, if you have to go, have a great day, and be sure to check out Flipgrid during the rest of the week if you would like to share cool fun facts you've learned about the macaque long-tailed monkeys or about Bali. We would love to learn that from all of you. Or if anyone stumps me with questions throughout the week, I'll post the answers to those as well. I'll go through and start answering some of these questions that we did not get to. Let's see. Is there fecal matter dangerous to people? Coming from Mrs. Davis's classroom. I did not observe this particular monkey that throws that. I know that's common with some monkeys, especially in a zoo scenario. But I did not observe that here. And so there is danger with fecal matter of any animal of harboring diseases or just being uncleanly. And so I don't know specifically, I will say that about them. Do they get electrocuted by the power lines? So they're not grounded when they're jumped up there. So it's kind of like a bird sitting on a power line. So I'm not aware of it being dangerous for them if they're not grounded. Great question, though. Do they kill other animals? So they will kill if they primarily or mostly feed on leafy and fruits food, but they will eat usually when they're living along the coast, like crabs, other invertebrates, and insects are going to be the big things that they kill. They'll steal bird eggs. They're really not known as much for killing the actual birds, but the bird eggs. Great question there. Let's see. Did I get all those? Do people kill these? All right, we already answered those. And how long do the babies stay with their mom? So they're going to reach anywhere between a few months to a year. They're going to stay with their moms for a little while, especially while they're nursing when they're younger. But when they get older, they don't really stay in families. So they stay in groups, but the closest bonds are mother and child, especially those first few months. After that, once they reach adulthood, the females tend to stay in the same group, but they don't have. It's not like they're like, this is Mrs. Smith's family, this is Mrs. Jones' family of the monkey group. So they just kind of hang as one larger group as far as the dynamic. All right, and let's see, what is the main food for the baby monkeys? It's going to be their mom's milk. So they nurse just like you and I as a young human, young animal. They are mammals. Mammals nurse off their mothers. Great questions coming from all around. And don't see any others coming in there. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's program and give a big old thank you for all of you for participating on today's Learn Around the World's Geo Show. Don't forget, it's a great big world out there. Lots of cool places and things to see, just like you did today at the Sacred Monkey Forest in Bali, Indonesia. So get out there and keep exploring. Have a great day, guys. Bye.